Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Optimizing Short-Term International Programs, Strategies, Partnerships, and Best Practices. My name is Morgan Flanagan, and I'm the Coordinator of Events and Special Initiatives at the BC Council for International Education. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on what I hope will be an informative session on short-term international programs in Canada. Before we get started, it's important to acknowledge that at BCCIE, we live and work on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Now onto a few housekeeping items. I know we're all familiar with Zoom, but as a reminder, please use the Q&A function to send your questions or if you have any comments. If you need technical assistance during the webinar, please use the chat box and we will help answer your inquiry. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers for today's webinar. We have Marius Langelin, Associate Director, International Projects and Partnerships from Camosun College, Mickey Spares, Global Partnership Specialist at Camosun College, and Sakura Harata, Associate Director, International Education at Okanagan College. Over to you all.
Nikki, are you ready to go?
Yeah, if you could change that to the presentation slide mode, maybe. Wonderful. Thank you, Marius. Thank you, Morgan. We would like to start with a territorial acknowledgement. We acknowledge with respect that Camosun College is situated in the traditional territories of the Rukwangan and Wasanich peoples. We express our gratitude to the indigenous peoples for sharing their land and knowledge, and we honor their deep connection to these lands that continue to support the past, present, and the future of the local indigenous community.
Okay, so to Okanagan College, thank you, Mixan and Marius. Okanagan College, we have 4 different campuses, and our Kelowna, Vernon, and Penticton campuses is located on the unceded traditional territories of Syilx, Okanagan people, and our 4th campus, which is Salmon Arm campus, is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Sikwamik people. Every day I reflect on what it means for me to be on this land as an uninvited settler. I'm Japanese Afro-Brazilian, and I reflect on what my responsibilities are because we are bringing international students to this land. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so a lot of you, I'm not sure if you're already doing short-term programs or not, but when I first started my role, my question was, how do we find these opportunities? How do we find partners? So our first slide here is just to kind of go through a few different strategies that we use on recruiting partners. So first one is trade commissioners. You or recruiters usually have opportunity to connect with the trade commissioners, and usually they're the ones that know a lot of schools that are looking for different opportunities. So talking with the trade commissioners, consulates are definitely one good strategy. Another one is attending fairs and conferences. Even if you might not be the one attending these conferences, if someone from your team is attending some fairs or conferences, it's always a good idea to just brainstorm what kind of opportunities you're looking for. Miki-san, to you want to talk about the collaboration with recruiters, regional managers? Or I can keep going too?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Thank you, Sakura-san. Yeah, so we work really closely with recruiters and regional managers and the study abroad team in-house at Camosun International to recruit some students to be able to make a short-term program as well. But then we also work external agents too, who can send either group or individual students for a short-term program. And we also worked with an external government-funded project. I will talk about this a little bit more in detail later slides.
Yeah, and I think it's just important to highlight that even though the recruiters and the regional managers' mandate is to recruit full-time students, just make sure you go over what your priorities are, because when they talk to parents, agents, and students, when they attend fairs, yes, they are there to promote the institution, but there's always an opportunity to talk a little bit about other opportunities like short-term programs. We found this to be very, very effective. So just make sure that you engage with all the units in your department.
Perfect. Okay, so let's talk. So we'll talk about Okanagan College short-term programs, and then we'll talk about the Camosun College one. Our target audience at Okanagan College is ESL learners. We have a really good ESL program here, and all of our short programs is surrounding ESL. The partnership, there are different partnership types that you can have, but the ones that we have at OC is direct institutional partnerships, meaning we work directly with the different universities or schools. We do cohort. There's different that you can do open enrollment or cohort, but for us, we do cohort, which means everyone arrives at the same time. They participate in the same program and then they go home together. The timing for us, the best one is May to August, which is our academic vacation, and also January to February. And February usually overlaps with our reading break. The duration is usually from 2 to 6 weeks, but the average is 3 weeks. And when you were thinking of short-term programs, there are a lot of things that you need to consider. And some of the things that we consider is supply and demand. Is there sufficient demand for your programs among these audience, whichever target audience you may have? Compatibility. Are the programs you offer suitable for the needs of your learners? Because even if you have the program, it has to align with what they want, what they need, which is the next another thing to consider, the program alignment. Do your offerings align with the specific inquiries and goals of your learners? Department support. I know someone asked a question about buy-in, and we'll talk about it later too. Another key consideration is, are there departments within your institution that are willing to support the initiative that you have? And if it's a customized one, then you really need to have buy-in. But how do you do that? Housing and logistics. Are there adequate housing options available for participants? So if your school is located somewhere that's really big, like Vancouver, then that's definitely one of the priorities that needs to be thought about. Do you have enough staff member or resources to successfully implement and support the program? And we'll talk later too. For Okanagan College, we started to have lots of full-time fee-paying students, and as we grew that population, it became more challenging for us to sustain the short-term programs because of the staff. Like, we didn't have enough staff numbers. Pricing. Is your pricing accessible for the target audience? And are you still generating some revenues? And right now, with all the changes with IRCC, some of you may be thinking, okay, now it's the time to have the short-term programs, but it has to be revenue generating. So one of the main consideration is the return of investment high? Next slide, please. Okay, for our programs, we can provide customized programs tailored to specific needs. Previously, we offer courses in fields such as physiotherapy assistant, nursing, social workers, teacher programs. But today I'll talk briefly about our program with the Toyota Technical College that's located in Japan. We do it with collision repair and refinishing. The next slide, please. Thank you. We offer really strong trades programs, including collision repair and refinishing. And for nearly 30 years, we have partnered with the Toyota Technical College to run short-term summer study program. So while you're listening to this, you may think, oh my God, this picture looks so good, but it has taken 30 years for us to get here. It usually goes on for 3 to 4 weeks, and Toyota main goal was to develop global employees with intercultural competency and an understanding of international business practices. So over the years, we've adapted the program to meet evolving needs. Initially, we focused on out-of-body refinishing and English learning. But then we recognize the growing demand for more affordable option, because with the customers, with the out-of-body refinishing, the classes had to take place in workshop, and there's a tool cost, and there were all additional costs. The students still wanted to come, but they wanted more affordable option. So we introduced a second program centered on the customer service English learning program. Both programs ran concurrently, with students dividing into separate morning sessions. So in the morning, one group would do out-of-body refinishing, and the other group will do customer service English. In the afternoon, both groups would do English program, a separate one, because one would more focus on terminologies that they use in the workshop, whereas the other one was still doing customer service. And a few times a week, both programs come together to do activities together. Next slide, please. And this is just one of the pictures of the final product. In this program, students were fixing a fender, and they were fixing within this 3 weeks time frame, and also learning how to do the painting and refinishing the fender. And then all the students excuse me, got to take home their own fender. And on the left side here, you see 2 teachers, and they are the instructor for out-of-body. So we work very, very closely with them when we are doing the planning and execution. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is just another picture of students learning English in the classroom. This year actually marked our first return since COVID-19. But due to a weak yen and lower enrollment, we offered a customer service program only, focused on out-of-body terminology. And this worked really well. But for next year, we are discussing, can we go back to the traditional form, which is the out-of-body and then customer service. Next slide, please. And I forgot to mention 2 slides. If you could go back 2 slides back. In the picture, there was a lady, Gina. Are you able to go back 2 slides back? There you go. Thank you. On the right side here, you see one lady. Oh, the next one. I just really like to acknowledge Gina, which is the next slide. She is our translator and cultural liaison, and she is basically between students and us. So if students have any concerns at all, they go to Gina and talk about either the homestay concerns or class concern, English concern, and she's also a translator. So it's always good to also remember, when you're thinking about logistics, do you have someone that's speaking the language of your clients if you're thinking of doing the ESL program? Thank you, Marius. The next one, please. It's the activity picture. One more back. Alongside language learning, participants enjoyed activities showing the Okanagan area, including the beach outings. There you go, thank you. Beach outings and sailings, winery visits, and local dealership tours. We also provided opportunities for students to visit Canadian classes and to see the tools local students are using and ask questions both to students and faculty. And this was really good for the local students as well, because they're like, whoa, Toyota students, they are going to be working in Toyota, and now they're here witnessing us, like learning from us. So they are learning from each other. Next one, please. And when I mentioned to one of the graduates that I'll be presenting on the Toyota customer service program and out of body, one student said, oh, make sure you show the picture of a dream rally because this is one of the highlights. This happens in Kelowna once a year where all the posh cars come and people can see it. And we do it the same time that we have the short-term program. So this is one of the highlights that we have. And next one, please. And now over to you, Marius.
Thank you so much, Sakura-san. Thank you everyone for spending the morning with us. Let's start with some general information. Our programs are mostly cohort-based, non-credit, and are open to high school and university students. We don't offer level placement, meaning all of our programs have mixed level students. Except for early September and December, our programs run year-round. We bundle everything together to avoid multiple small fees like the application fee, a separate homestay fee, transit passes, insurance, and so on. Uncomplicating the experience really matters. We offer the following short-term programs: language and culture with ESL in the morning, cultural activities in the afternoon, pretty standard. This is our most budget-friendly program. We have custom programs just like Okanagan College. We've offered focus training to pilots, nurses, tradespeople, teacher trainers, and many more. And our third offering is Camosun English Learning Adventures, or CELA. What is CELA? CELA is our in-house career exploration and applied learning program, typically 4 weeks long, with English language development and full-day applied learning workshops. Let's look at one example. So last summer, we ran a CELA program for a group of Mexican students. The photo shows them at our innovation lab engaging in design thinking challenges. The workshops in yellow and orange are applied learning workshops. The students spent 4 days outside of the traditional classroom, exploring different schools and program areas. This model of going beyond the walls of the ESL classroom has been very successful. We are currently running a teacher training program for a group of educators from the Czech Republic. The program includes English language development, school visits, applied learning workshops, and instructional skills workshop. Our Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning is also delivering focus workshops on e-learning, universal design for learning, and AI in the classroom, to name a few. The photo shows some of the Czech students at our career education conference.
Okay, thank you, Marius. Now I would like to talk about the partnerships that we have at Camosun College. We have 3 types of partnerships to create our short-term program. The first one is a direct institutional partnership. So when you are unsure where to start when creating a short-term program, reaching out to your study abroad partner is a great way to begin. So for example, Josai International University, our oldest partner in Japan for over 30 years, has been a part of a long-standing study abroad exchange. And recently, we have begun exploring the opportunity for creating a short-term program with them. And we are also exploring a similar opportunity with our partner in Germany as well. So utilizing your institutional partner is a great way to start to create a short-term program. And we also have a unique direct institutional partnership with vocational school in Regensburg, Germany. Through the GATE Foundation, GATE spelled G-A-T-E, means German Apprenticeship training exchange program. We offer a reciprocal short-term program for traced students. GATE provides vocational students who typically do not have international experience the opportunity to gain global exposure. And Camosun College was the first institution to both send and receive students through this unique program in Canada. The second one is the government programs. We have collaborated with the Yucatan government in Mexico and IFAO in Panama, both of which provided funding to support marginalized students. Through these government funding programs, we have welcomed over 50 students for our short-term program. So there are many emerging opportunities in Latin America and the Caribbean lately for this type of funding. This is a promising avenue to explore for future partnerships for everyone. And the third one is Asian. As I mentioned to you before, we are collaborating with external agents, regional managers, and recruiters at Camosun International who can recruit both cohorts and individual participants for our short-term program. This has opened up a new opportunity to host open cohort enrollment programs where we accept individual enrollment. So in cases where a partner institution can only send 2 to 5 students, so we combine individual applicants from multiple sources to form one cohort. So we have hosted a small scale of open enrollment program this summer, and it was a huge success. And through these partnerships, Camosun College hosted over 10 short-term programs just this year. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are some highlights from our program. So for the left is a picture of the GATE participants in the carpentry shop. So they gained hands-on experience at Camosun College, working alongside our students. And then the top picture shows the students from Yucatan, Mexico, after participating in the Indigenous Cultural Workshop. So each student made a moose hide medicine pouch to take home and took part in the smudge ceremony and engaged in circle sharing while learning about Canada's Indigenous culture. And Yucatan students taught our facilitators their traditional dance at the end of the workshop. So it was a beautiful knowledge sharing experience for both. And the bottom little picture is from the Miriam College Business Study Immersion Program. So we invited several prominent female leaders from Victoria for a panel discussion on female leadership, as Miriam College is an all-female university in the Philippines. So as you can imagine, it was a powerful discussion. And the last one on the right is the picture of the Ochanomizu students from Japan during one of our cultural excursion, which is a dragon boating. As you can see, it was a beautiful day. And as usual, Camosun College students volunteers joined the activities to make the experience more while practicing their English. The next slide. And over to you, Sakura-san.
Thank you, Miki-san. There are lots of challenges. There are lots of benefits, I should say first. There are lots of benefits, but at the same time, there are lots of challenges when you are planning and conducting these short-term programs. The first one, when we were brainstorming, what is it that we can share with you today? The first one that came up was how did we start? How did we start the programs that we have? And if you're one of the schools that don't have the short-term program just yet, you're probably wondering, how do we start? How do we get a buy-in? And for us, I mentioned that the main program for us is ESL, and we have a quite wonderful relationship with our chair of ESL. Her name is Vivian, and we work quite closely with her from a very, very initial stage. Yesterday, we had another meeting just brainstorming how can we have a new partnership in China, because one of our recruiters have brought this opportunity for us, and we were discussing how is it that we can meet their demands. But definitely the buy-in is one of the challenges that we see. Coordination is another one, especially there are different types of coordination, but one is departmental coordination, which is connected to how you start, how do you get buy-in. And Miki-san, did you want to say anything about the coordination as well? There are different types of coordination that are challenges.
Yeah, I just wanted to add some travel logistics coordination. So as you know, like Camosun College, we're in Victoria on the island. So, planning the travel logistics add a little bit more complexity if the students don't fly into Victoria directly. Sometimes group fly into Vancouver means that I have to charter a bus, and I have to coordinate the ferry schedule, and I have to coordinate for the homestay pickup and drop off. So the travel logistics could be a little bit challenging. And also working with another institutions. So, their level of involvement sometimes could vary. So some partner institutions are very hands-on. They know exactly what they're doing, but some institutions, they're a little bit novice to create a short-term program. So it's going to be a little bit more like a back and forth communication to get the information that we need to implement the program. So that is the little challenge of the coordination, but those challenges, elements, we just need to, do the careful planning, and we have to be flexible and to be able to manage those challenges. So I could move right into a good fit the challenges. Okay, is it a good fit? So it's sometimes important to feel confident in saying no when the program or opportunity isn't the right fit that you think. So we've had to turn some opportunities. So for example, timing can be a significant factor. We offer a proposal to host a program in early September. But as we all know, that is the worst timing to host such a program. And another cases, the other institutions and needs and demands, I shouldn't say demands, but maybe a wish list, didn't align with what Camosun College could offer at that time. So we had to say no. So it is very essential to carefully evaluate each program's proposal and the learning outcomes and overall objective to determine whether it will be a good fit for both the student and the college. So saying no when necessary, ensure that we maintain the quality and the integrity of our programs, focusing on those that truly benefits the student and align with our strengths. So Sakura-san, if you could talk about the cost, that would be great.
The cost, yes, absolutely. Financial feasibility. So with IRCC recently changing a lot of things, and if you're working for a college especially, you're probably thinking of, okay, budget. What do we do with budget? Oh my goodness, what do we do? For us, the past 5 years, we were, and I think a lot of institutions are probably the same, we were seeing a drastic increase in international students, fee-paying full-time international students coming to Canada. As we were growing this number, it became very, very challenging for us to sustain our short-term programs. So we had to say, sorry, we cannot no longer welcome you into our institution. But instead of just saying no, what I did was, no, we can't for a while. However, Camosun College has a lot of great programs. So it's also good to have good relationship with the other schools. So then if it's not a good fit for you, then you're saying, how about this school? It might be a good fit. So we did decrease a lot, our short-term programs. And right now we are exploring again, how can we have some schools back and how can we reach out to the existing partners that we have for full-time fee paying and see if they would be interested in sending us some short-term students as well. And also to utilize in-house resources to be cost effective. There is a way and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So that's another thing. Definitely that's a challenge, but something that if you're creative, that can be feasible. And Mixan, to you want to discuss about open enrollment?
Yeah, so the open enrollment challenges. So as I mentioned to you, like we have just begun the new opportunity to host open enrollment the program. So our program is usually cohort based, but we have been implemented the open enrollment programs, and where individual students can join, and whether they are coming from the different institutions or through agents. So means that the wider range of English proficiency levels. And also it's a diverse background, means the different interest in social cultural activities, which makes the group a little bit more dynamic, mixture of students. So to make sure that everyone has a great experience, we will need to manage students' expectations carefully. So communicating thoroughly to students and the institution and the agent and instructors and the Camosun students volunteers need to be aware of the different needs and the preferences. So students might be divided into groups for the English classes for the different levels, and also create a different activities for the cultural activities for everybody. So it's a through communication with the instructors and the volunteers to make that the open enrollment program an inclusive and a supportive environment. And of course, coordinating individual travel logistics. They are not coming as a group. They're coming from one is coming on this day, one is coming from that day, this day, and this time. So it will be more challenging. So we will need to plan for the extra cost for ground transportation and arrange individual homestay picks up and drops off. So these all need to be factored in to the overall budget. As you can imagine, it's a lot of coordination, a lot of time consuming matter. But the great thing about this open enrollment model is that we don't have to say no to individual applicants or agent who can bring one or two students. Sometimes we get the inquiry from the agent saying that they are thinking about coming to Camosun, but they're not sure. They've never been to Canada. They've never been to Victoria. This is a great way for them to sample what it is like to study in Victoria and Camosun. So we present this opportunity as a Camosun Sampler program. So so we found that this is a great opportunity for everyone. So we are going to host 2 open enrollment programs next year. Over to you, Maria.
Thank you, Mickey. And let's end on a positive note. So what are some of the benefits of using the career exploration and applied learning model? Well, you're showcasing institutional strength, leveraging on-campus resources and expertise, taking full advantage of what your institution has to offer, going beyond ESL. If you have a study abroad program or offer outbound experiences, you could make it a requirement for participants to give back to the college through volunteering. This requirement was never a cost-saving strategy for us, but it works great. And now our study abroad alumni, together with current students and incoming exchange students, facilitate all of our cultural activities. Building out the student experience. CELA helps break up the traditional ESL model by adding exciting layers of applied learning. This in turn increases student engagement and curiosity. Students often inquire about our programs and admission requirements. Enhancing collaboration. CELA provides opportunities to work with underrepresented students and units across the college. Through short-term programs, we have found ways to collaborate with all of our schools and departments. Building stronger community connections. All of our programs include site visits and industry experiences. Partnering with local companies and organizations like Level Ground Coffee, Sanish Police Station, school districts, and hotels is critical to the success of the program. Sakura-san, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, definitely with the community connections. Our programs usually held during summertime when tourists is a peak in the area. We support local businesses. So for example, we have lots of vineyards here, wineries. So we take students to wineries so then they get to experience what the local life is and talk with local businesses. But this is definitely one of the things that we trying to be very mindful. How can we support our community while supporting students? With the potential recruitment tool, Marius touched on it a little bit. It seems that sometimes it can be short-term programs can be seen as separated from long-term fee-paying recruitment, but everything is connected. Essentially what it is, the way I see it, is the capacity building. You are making connections with the different countries, different schools, different agencies, and that leads to, one way or the other, that leads to more fee-paying long-term recruitment. And we all discuss this, that we strongly recommend not just for the revenue piece of things, but connections and also capacity building, because it doesn't have to be fee-paying either. This could also lead to international projects, which Camosun College does an awesome job in all these aspects. But yeah, that's what I have to say for that potential recruitment tool.
Yeah, thank you, Sakura-san. And I also want to highlight and stress that this is a potential recruitment tool. We have seen students enroll full-time after CELA, especially our high school students. So that concludes the presentation. We're going to transition over to the Q&A, but before we take your questions, I just wanted to address some of the questions that we received prior to this session. So one question was about, let me just change the slide here. One question was about how profitable these activities are, and if we take the value of staff time into account in determining net revenue. They are profitable. Our prices reflect project coordination and college overhead. Faculty might offer to use their scheduled development to support your efforts. One full day applied workshop typically includes one faculty and one support staff or lab assistant. It's not hard to figure out how much that would cost. Think about who your competition is, and what are they charging? Are their rates lower than yours? Is that due to scale, perhaps? You don't want to price yourself out. So we were up against all of these challenges and found out that we have to do something to stand out. And that is why we came up with the career exploration and applied learning model. There was another question about the buy-in process. And I'm glad you asked because it's critical. So buy-in at Camosun starts at the very top with the college executive team. And next, it trickles down to the schools and the deans. And then it goes to the chairs and program leads, and finally to the instructors and staff directly involved in supporting the programs. So you really have to present your goals clearly. You have to explain who the partner is, like who the students are, what their needs are, and what your needs are. I encourage you to invite the deans and chairs to the welcome, to the orientation, have them co-deliver the welcome, make sure that they experience the programs firsthand. You also need buy-in from parents and agents, and of course the students. And we have found that applied learning and applied workshops help mitigate concerns about mixed level placements, because we don't have multiple levels, right? It's just one cohort. So if the focus is on applied learning, skills development, and career exploration, it takes away and it mitigates some of the concerns about not having mixed level placements. So with that, we'll hand it over to BCCIE, and also we have our email addresses in front of you. Please follow up with us if you wanted to ask some questions, or if you want to just have a discussion around how we're running our short-term programs. But yeah, with that, thank you, and let's move into the Q&A.